Um, so before I go ahead with the session, can you guys please confirm if I'm audible? Yeah, I know that point of time I was not audible. I know that. The seminar was not live. So can you just now confirm if I'm audible? I should be audible now. I have added a fresh poll. Yeah, perfect. All right. All right. So if in case it's I'm not audible to anyone, you definitely can. You should what you should do. You close your browser and rejoin with a fresh browser. I should be audible. Okay, but I can as I can see in the poll, all of you have suggested I am audible, so I'm going ahead with the session. All right, guys. So hello, good evening, good morning, everyone. Depending on which part of the world you are. Okay, so today we have met for this particular session on number line and inferences, and our main target will be to solve question related to inequality and also absolute values. Okay, so it will be general linear inequality, quadratic inequality, and then question related to absolute value inequalities or absolute value equation as well. Okay, now. Um, so before I go ahead with that particular part, questions and all, I'll just like to introduce myself first. Just a second. Yeah. So I'm Shubhankar. I'm the team lead for Quant team, that is for GRE quiz and GMAT quiz both. And I have roughly around 10 years of experience in EdTech. And that is about it for my side. So I'll get into the session now. Now, so we have two different parts of the session. One part is about question answer. So generally we suggest it, we generally keep it somewhere around 60 minutes. We may get ahead maybe 15-20 minutes here and there is possible. Okay. And after that, we'll have a question answer session, which will be 10 minutes. So all in all, we should be able to wrap this up uh, in roughly around 1.5 minutes. Generally, the 60 minutes time that generally goes past by 15-20 minutes. So we'll try to keep it within 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay. Now, so in the very first part, that's when we are going to go through the questions. We are going to go through the question of three different parts. First, we'll do linear inequality, then we'll do quadratic inequality, and then we'll do question related to absolute values. Okay. So let me give you first some basics related to linear inequality. Now, so in case of linear inequality, what happens? I have certain scenarios given to me and I have inequality sign. So what is an inequality sign? So most of us know that equals to is basically this. So inequality sign is basically anything apart from this, which basically gives a relation between two entities. One of the entity on the left hand side of that sign, another entity on the right hand side of this sign. So here, this is one of the inequality given, which basically means, or this is how we pronounce it, it is greater than. So 30 is greater than 5. Okay, and that we know that 30 is definitely greater than 5, right? Okay. Now, what happens instead of this, the inequality could be like this as well, less than. It could be greater than equals to, it could be less than equals to. So there are different signs for it. And obviously, as we go along with the questions, we'll understand what exactly do they mean. Okay. Now, many times students get confused about the sign of greater than and less than. So how I was taught, and I think that is the easiest way to understand, wherever you have two pointers, that is the greater part. Okay, so what we say x greater than y. So we say x y greater because it has two parts, two pointers towards it. So x greater than y. Now if I reverse it and write it like this, x has one pointer, y has two pointers. Since x has fewer number of pointers, we say x is less than y. So that is one way, small trick we can do in terms of remembering what is the meaning of this sign, in case we get confused about it. Okay, now we'll go through the operations on inequalities. Now, what happens if I add some constant? Okay, so let's say for this particular case, the constant is 36, k equals to 6. Okay, now what happens on both the sides? You can see it will be 30 plus 6 on the left hand side, and on the right hand side, it will be 5 plus 6. And I know it's exactly the same relation what we had earlier, we are having here as well, greater than 7. Now, with that, the same thing in mind, we can say that if I add something, inequality sign does not change. When I say something, I must add the same thing. So if I add the same thing, my inequality sign does not change. Okay. Now, what happens when I do subtraction? Subtraction also works exactly the same way. You can definitely take a value of k, which is 6, you subtract it, you get 24 on the left side, and you get -1 on the right hand side. Obviously, you know -1 is definitely less than 24, or 24 is greater than -1. Similar way, multiplication and division also work, but they work little differently. For addition and subtraction, its inequality sign doesn't change, but for multiplication and division, it changes in certain scenarios. So let us understand those scenarios first. So when k is greater than 0, so is a positive entity. So if positive entity, I can say the left hand side here will be 180 and the right hand side is going to be 30. So it's definitely greater. Okay. So inequality sign doesn't change here. Okay. However, if I use a number which is less than 0, let's see, what do I mean by less than 0? Something like say -6. So if I add multiply -6, then I get something like this. So I have -80 and -30. Now, how do I understand -80 is less than or more than -30? So for that, what we do, since this entire session, we are mostly going to deal with linear inequality, and we'll try to solve those questions with the help of number line. So I need to understand how these numbers can be plotted on a number line. Okay, so let me just give you small idea, little idea about it. Okay, so what we have here, 0 is in the middle, -30, all the terms on the left hand side are negative, so it goes like this: -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. So obviously I know -30 will come here, and then after certain point of time -180 will come. However, on the right hand side, we have the number line like this. Okay, so you see -30 is towards right. So on a number line, any points towards the right is greater than any points towards the left. This is an important understanding in terms of visualization number line. Visualize a number line. This is very important. So definitely remember, for a number line system, if I plot different points on the number line, any point which is towards the right of a particular point, that must be greater than the point that is towards the left. Okay, so with this understanding, let us now see what happens with division. Now for division also, it's almost work in the similar way, that if k is positive, right? So if k is positive, I divide, and then the inequality sign doesn't change. But if k is negative, which is say -5 here, and I divide, the inequality sign changes. Okay, so in a nutshell, what we can say, this is what I just need to remember in terms of summary. Addition and subtraction, no changes. Inequality sign does not change when I add the same quantity. Okay. However, for multiplication, it depends on the sign of k. If the sign is positive, it doesn't change. If the sign is negative, it changes. So after all this discussion, this is everything you need to remember about inequalities. Okay, so I believe most of you should be clear of it, about it, or rather it should be all should be clear. Can you just quickly confirm if I can move ahead? Let me put a poll for that quickly. So the poll is up. Can you quickly see if I can move ahead to the question? Okay, perfect. Okay. So this is the first question we are going to start with. Take 1.5 minutes. Okay, maybe I'll give 20 more seconds, but that's it. And after that, we'll start the explanation. So I'll be on mute for a minute, 1.5, something like that. So once you are done with that, I'll put up a poll with the answer. So use the poll. Do not write your answer in the chat box. All right, so I have started to get some answers. I'll wait for another 30 seconds. All right, guys, I'm going to end the poll. I don't see many answers, so uh, I'll give 10 seconds and then I'll close the poll. Can you please select an option? All right, I'm ending the poll now. Okay. So I see most of the answers are C or D. Okay. So let me just go through the solution of it then. Okay. So not a very difficult one, but definitely there is a small trap are there which I need to be very cautious about. So when I get a question like this, what should I do? If x is an integer, so that is an important. So I highlight that point that x is an integer. Is it positive, negative? Nothing is given. So it can be positive, it can be negative, it can be zero. And there is a relation given. So first relation is 72 less than 8x plus 3 less than 155. Okay, so I have a relation like this. Now, so if I have a relation like this, how I find out the range of x? Okay, how do I find out the range of x for this particular question? Now, so what I should do in such a question? Okay, um, I should definitely take, I try to separate the term with x. So I try to write 8x here. How should I do it? I subtract 3 from it. Okay. Now, since I subtract 3 from it, definitely I need to subtract 3 from the other ranges as well. Okay. So this is important. You remember we said that if I subtract something, I need to subtract it both the sides. Inequality sign doesn't change. So we are doing that principle. We are going by that principle. So in that way, it is going to be 69 on this side. It's going to be 8x here, and it's going to be 152. So now I'll divide it by 8. So if I divide it by 8, we know if I divide it by positive number, sign doesn't change. So I'm going to get something like 69 by 8 here, x here, and 152 by 8 here. And this is the simplification. What we understand, we are directly applying that thing here. Now this thing is nothing but 8 point something. I'm calculating the exact value. It is 8 and 5 by 8. So obviously I need not to worry about the exact value. I can definitely write something like this, or I can even write 8 point something. I know it is going to be more than 8. It is going to be less than 9. Here I have x, and here if I divide it by this, 160 divided by 8 is 20. So 152, which is 8 less, 8 fewer compared to 160, I can say it is going to be 90. Okay, so my value range is going to be something like 8.xx something to, or maybe say I can say yy something to 90. So this is all I need to do for the first part. And second part, obviously I know I need to do 23 is less than 2x, or I divide everything by 2, so I get 11.5 less than x. Okay, so what I end up getting, let me just put the x on the other side. That's why, so that I have a better clarity, I can say it's basically x must be greater than 11.5. Okay, so if I just put it on the number line, if I have a 0.0 here and 11.5 here, I'm looking for the terms which are more than 11.5. So I'm looking for the time 12, 13, 14, and so on. Okay, however, that is not end of it. I also need to abide by this particular condition as well. This condition says x is greater than, understand this can be written as x is greater than 8.xx or 8.yy. So x is greater than 8. I know it already because x is greater than 11.5. So I really need not worry about that part. I need to worry about the other part, which is x is less than 19. So if x is less than 19, what are the values I can definitely take? I can take 18, I can take 17, 16, 15, 14, all the values, right? Till any negative values also we can take for that matter. However, I have certain set here and I have a set here. So the condition is basically here. I'm looking for what is that common area. So the common area, I know it has to be, obviously I'm not going to write all the numbers, but I'll know that the common area is nothing but from this 12, which is inclusive, I should count 12 till I should write till 18. Okay, so 13, 14, all these numbers. Now, till this portion, is it clear? Because I'm going to give you a little idea about how we calculate certain numbers from some m number, like from 12 to 18. What is the easiest way to calculate those numbers? I'm going to talk about that particular part a little. So can you confirm if you have understood whatever I have told you till now? So can I move to that part? Question wise, we are done. We can manually do it 12 to 18, but I'm going to add a formula so that you quickly understand how should we do about it. Okay, cool, perfect. So let me move to that formula. Then what is the formula right now? I know x has to start from 12 and it has to end at 18 and inclusive. So always remember, when it is inclusive, the number of terms is given by 18 minus 12 plus 1. So if I'm looking for n, an integer, then n plus 1, so on till m, the number of integers term there in this series is m minus n plus 1. Remember, this is the formula when they are inclusive. Okay. Now, if I tell you this is inclusive, then what about when they are not inclusive, right? How should we calculate that? Don't worry about those scenarios. Remember about the inclusive scenario, and then whatever you get your answer, you change it to inclusive. What do I mean by that? Okay. You see, in this particular question, if I just give you here, I got x is less than 19 and x is more than 11.5. So we haven't got something inclusive here. What I got in terms of answer is x is greater than 11.5 and x is less than 19. When you do not have something inclusive, it cannot be 19, right? So I'm not taking the inclusive part. So what I need to do, I need to convert it into inclusive part. So what I do, okay, x is more than 11.5. It means x must be 12. X can be 12. So 12, from 12 we start, okay, now it's inclusive. and it is less than 19, it means at max it can be 18. So 18 also becomes inclusive. So once you get to the inclusive part, directly come to this formula. Okay, no other formula you need to remember, just logically come to the inclusive part. That's it. Okay, so please confirm, let me put that poll again, that if you have understood that we have got all the numbers from 12 to 18, and that answer is going to be 6 plus 1 equals to 7. So those who have got D as the mark, D as the answer, have got it right. Okay, perfect. So let me move to the next question. Okay, so you can try this particular question. Okay, and this is a question which basically talks about the scenarios where I need to compare two quantities, and if I get definitely A is more, I go with option A. If definitely B is more, I go with option B. If both are equal, I go with C. If there is no proper relationship, it's like A, I mean left hand side is sorry, quantity A is greater than quantity B, or quantity A can be less than quantity B, those kind of scenario comes, or they can be equal as well. When I'm confused about it, I cannot say what exactly is the relation, which one is the bigger in terms of certainty, I choose option D. Okay, so let me put the poll up for these options. So I have added the poll. You can take a minute or so, solve it. Let me know, mark your answer. Once done, I'll start the explanation. Okay, so for this question, I'll give you roughly around 1.5 minutes again. Okay, guys, 10 more seconds. I have received almost all the answers. Maybe a couple of people are left. Ten more seconds, guys. Those who are left, please select an option. All right, I'm starting the explanation for this question. Okay, I have received all the answers, and mostly the answers are either B or D. Okay, let's see why. Almost 40% of you have answered B, and the almost remaining all answered D. Okay, so let's see which one is the correct one and why so. Now, and obviously, most importantly, how should I go about if I see a question like this? How should I go about it? Okay. Now you understand they have said both the numbers are negative. One important thing here, both the numbers are negative, and there is a relation A is less than B. So what do I do there? When I see it, what I can do in my mind, or definitely I can put it in the paper in terms of a number line. A2 and B both are on the left side. B is here and A is further towards the left of B, right? Now this quantity is pretty easy. It's given as 1. So all I need to do is that I compared with this particular quantity, right? Now, what is B minus 1 by A? Now, understand B itself is negative, right? So if B itself is negative, B minus 1 is definitely going to be negative, okay? And A is negative. So uh, I can definitely say this scenario is going to be something like negative by negative, because B is negative, minus 1 is negative, B minus 1 must be negative, right? And then A is also negative. So if it is negative by negative, I definitely understand it's going to be a positive term. Okay, so we are not like got an answer. If there is a chance that this term is negative, I could have directly said, okay, B is greater, but I could not do that. Okay. Now let me come to the second part of it. Then what should I do? So I have B minus 1. Now understand here, I have two negative terms. Okay. Say B minus 1 can be where? Understand, try to understand my point. Where can be B minus 1? Because you remember I said that the agenda of this session is to visualize the number line and get this question correct. Okay. So if I understand where is B, B minus 1 must shift towards left, right? So where it can shift? Understand, it depends where exactly is A. There is a possibility that B is a number. I'm giving a number, but then we need not to think about a number, but I can give you a possibility that B is minus 2 and A is minus 4. In that scenario, even if I take B minus 1, it's still going to be here, right? And which is going to be minus 3. So it means what? If I take B minus 1, it can definitely lie somewhere around here. When it lies somewhere around here in between A minus B, my answer of B minus 1 by A is still going to be a smaller term. Understand, try to visualize a smaller term here, smaller in terms of absolute value, because negative sign is definitely going to get cancelled, right? So in terms of absolute value, this is going to be a smaller term and A is going to be a bigger term. Okay, so if I understand that particular part, definitely I can say a smaller term, absolute value, a bigger divided by a bigger term is definitely going to be less than 1. So I'm going to get something like minus 3 by minus 4. That is going to be 3 by 4, which is less than 1. So this is a possibility I can get. But is it the only possibility? Not necessarily. I could have very well had a scenario when A itself is minus 3 and B is minus 2. In that scenario, A and B, when I take B minus 1, will become equal. And obviously, in that scenario, B minus 1 by A is going to give you 1. So there is a possibility it can be equal as well. So there is a possibility it is A, first one is bigger. Sorry, one is bigger. There is a possibility that both are equal. And the third possibility will come when B minus 1 is smaller than A. So where is B minus 1? If B is here, say A is here and B minus 1 is somewhere around here. Now, what are the values? Understand, they never told us that they are positive integers. So if they haven't told us it is positive, sorry, negative integer, they have just told us it's negative. So in that scenario, I can take this to be minus 2. I can take A to be minus 2.5 and B minus 1 is going to be minus 3. So I can definitely have these two values in my expression. Okay, so I'm going to get different answer. But obviously you understand, once you get 1 and 2 as your answer, you need not to worry about the third scenario, because when you get, okay, quantity A is less than B in one scenario and quantity A is equals to in another scenario, I need not to worry about the third scenario, because I already, whatever information I have, I cannot certainly say how the relationship is there in between these two numbers. Okay, so that's how the visualization skill come in this kind of question, where you picturize the scenario and use the number line so that you are absolutely sure what is going into this system. So once you develop your conceptual clarity around this visualization and all, you're not going to make mistake in terms of missing out scenarios. Okay, which is possibly the case with the people who have answered option B. Okay, so you say that quantity is B is more, so possibly you are taking a number where you are only going to a scenario. If B is more, then which is the scenario I'm talking about? I'm talking about the first scenario. So possibly you have taken a scenario which is the first one, right? But then we should understand that there are multiple scenarios possible. I should consider all the scenarios. How should I consider it? If I can visualize, it will be easier for me. All right. So let me reset the poll and please confirm if I can move ahead to the next question. All right. Perfect. So now let me move to the next question here. Okay. So next, basically, we have we'll start with quadratic inequalities. I'll just give you a brief idea about quadratic inequality, but mostly we'll do the solve the question to understand how it goes. Okay. So when I say quadratic inequality, the sign we have already told you, there are 4 different signs that can come, and question type can also changes. So these are just sample questions. Don't worry about solving them. I'm just giving you the idea that what kind of question can come generally. Okay, so it could be something like this, that they have given x minus 9 into x plus 5, which is greater than 0. Okay, this is a possibility, and then they give you certain option and ask you choose all of which are correct or something like that. Okay, there could be a scenario where they give you less than sign as well, and they said which of the following must be true. Okay, so there's some question can come with can be true, some question can come with must be true. We need to understand the difference. We'll talk about those as well. Okay, now understand what is the difference between this question and the previous question we had. Okay, so if I see the previous question, just note down the number. In the previous question we had, it was x minus 9 and x plus 5, right? And you see in this particular question we have 9 minus x. Okay, so what is the difference? Obviously there is a difference. So you see here I have in this scenario 9 minus x and x plus 5, okay, greater than 0. Previous scenario we had x minus 9 and x plus 5 greater than 0. Okay, so what you need to do, the process we do in terms of number line, I should always get it into the form of x minus a, x minus b, x plus c, like this. I shouldn't have x, the coefficient of x, as negative. Okay, so what should I do? I should change this one. Now how should I change this one? I can multiply a negative 1 here. So if I multiply a negative 1, I must multiply a negative 1 on this side as well. And you remember what happens if I multiply a negative number? If I multiply a negative number, my inequality sign changes. So I should have something like minus 9 plus x, x plus 5. My inequality sign will change and I'll get something like this. Okay, so now I can rewrite it as x minus 9, x plus 5, which is less than 0. So my question will change a little depending on how it is given to me, and my purpose here will always be to give it a look which will be something like this. It can be plus minus, it doesn't matter. When ABC are constant, it can be any sign, that's fine. Okay, or for that matter you can get something like 2x plus a is also fine. It's not a big deal as long as the coefficient of x is positive. Okay, so you see, that is what we have said. To solve the higher degree this thing, the coefficient of x must be positive. So the bottom point you can see, that is the most important point here. Okay. Okay. Now next thing will come when it will talk about equals to. So it comes with a greater than equals to sign. Okay, and how should I go about greater than equals to sign? Okay, and the last scenario I can have something like this, where I have a scenario where it is less than equals to or greater than equals to whatever, and there is a term in the denominator as well. Okay, so these are the basic questions that we can have. Okay, so I hope you have understood that all the different things. Now let me give you solve one of the question here to start with. Perhaps the first question, only this one, and then I'll move to question 4 and 5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a contrast between these. Okay, so what is the contrast? What is the thing I need to do here? So if I have this equation, how should I go about solving this equation? Don't worry about, you need not to solve, I'll do it for you. Okay. So if I have a scenario like that, what I do here, so we take something called terminal point or 0 point. Now what is that 0 point? We say for what value this expression is going to become 0. So I have x minus 9 and x plus 5. For which value these are going to be 0? It's pretty easy, because it can be 0 when the first one is 0 or the second one is 0. So it can be 0 when x equals to 9 or x equals to minus 5. Correct? Okay. So what I now do, I put it on the number line. So I put 9 and I put minus 5. Now here I need to be very cautious about, I put them in correct position. So it's not like you need to put it very far apart, you need to draw 14 or 13 points in between them, because there are 13 points in between them. No, I'm not bothered about that, but I should put the 9 towards the right side, minus 5 towards the left side. As long as I do that, I'm good. Okay. Now, with this understanding, now what will happen if I take a number here? Okay. So I'm going to give you the concept here. So if I take a number here, say 10. If I take a 10, this is going to be positive and this is going to be positive as well. If both are positive, can I say this expression is going to be greater than 0? Right? So you understand, when I take a point which is even towards the right of my rightmost 0 point or terminal points, that is always going to be positive. So here my expression is going to be positive. Okay. Now, next thing is that what happens to the next region? Say in this region. So in this region, maybe I can take a point 0. That's the easiest point. In between plus 9 and minus 5, I can say a point is 0. So what happens when it is 0? If I put it 0, this is going to be negative and this is will remain positive. So you see, one of the term will become negative, one of the term will become positive. So their product are going to be negative. It is going to be less than 0. So this is the particular region I should not take. Okay. Now moving to the leftmost part, I can take a point like say minus 10 here. If I take a point minus 10, you can see what will happen. I'll get a negative number here because it will be minus 19, and I'll get a minus 5, which is another negative number. So I will get two negative number. Since I get two negative number, it is again going to be plus. Now what is the good thing about here is that I need not to do all of them. I know whenever I put the 0 point on the line, okay, always the rightmost region is going to be positive. For the rightmost region, any value on the rightmost region, my expression is going to be positive. For next region, it is going to be negative. Next region, it is going to be positive, negative, positive, negative, alternately. So if you have multiple points, instead of 2 points, which I have here, if I have points like say 5, 3, minus 1, minus 7, something like that, here it is going to be positive, here it is going to be negative, here positive, here negative, here positive. That's all. So all you need to do is that you find out the 0 point, it will go alternately. Okay. Now, so if I go to this question, it's going to be exactly same. X is 9, X is minus 5. That's how I'm going to solve this question. I'm not going to do more than that. I know this is the region where it's going to be positive. This is the region negative. This is the region positive. And what do I need here? I need negative numbers. X minus 9, X plus 5 must be less than 0, negative. So which is the region I'm talking about? I'm talking about this region. Okay. Now, what happens to the sign? So this is the region which is in between minus 5 and minus 9. Minus 5 and 9. Can I include the sign? I mean, can I include those minus point, 5 point? No, because if you see, if I put minus 5, this is going to become 0, but I cannot take 0. I need to take less than 0. So it is easier way here. If you do not have equals to sign here, if you had equals to sign, different thing. We're going to go to those questions. But if you do not have equals to sign in this kind of question, all you will do that, okay, in my answer also, it's not going to have any equals to sign. Okay. So I'm going to get my answer from minus 5 to 9, which is this one. Okay, and in this scenario I would have got something like more than this and less than this. So more than 9, where is more than 9? This. Or where is less than this. So can it be, the question is which of the following is must be true? Can it be, is it must be less than 5? Not necessarily, it can be more than 9 as well. So I can say okay, it can be less than 5 or it can be more than 9. It cannot be in between -5 and 9, and it can also not be 5 -5 and 9. Okay, so I have said a lot of things, so just for a moment just tell me if you have understood, because I mean it's not something a very difficult thing to understand. So I believe you have grasped this thing. We are moving to the third, fourth, fifth scenario quickly, and then I'll give you questions. Okay, I can see few responses. All right, perfect. Okay. So that's how we go about it. And I already told you about the third scenario. If it is not there, now I'll do something like this. So you see my sign here will change. So what I'm going to have now is this. So whatever question I get, I must give it this form. Then I'll go to the question. So I'll have this same number line, 9 -5. Is it less than 0? Yes. So this is positive, this is negative, this is positive. Since this signifies negative, I'm talking about this range. So my answer is going to be this. All right. Now how it changes if I have equals to sign? It doesn't change much. Okay. What happens in such a question? I'm going to put the number line as it is. I'm putting the number line. I'll put the 0 point, but in order. So -5, then 7, then 9. I know this is positive. I know this is negative. This is positive. This is negative. So if I name them 1, 2, 3, 4, can you guys use the chat box and tell me which are the region going to be? Don't worry about the sign thing as of now, but which of the region are in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4 I can take for this particular question? Which are the region I can take for this particular question? Can you use the chat box and few of you answer it? Anyone? Which are the region for which this inequality will be correct? I mean, I'm talking about, should I take the positive one or should I take the negative one? Should I take 1 and 3 or 2 and 4? I don't see any answer. That is strange. Can any of you answer that? I'm not putting a poll. You can use the chat box and tell me which are the region I'm going to take, 1, 3 or 2 and 4. All right, I don't see any responses. Fine, I'll just go ahead with it. Okay, so what happens in this particular scenario, since it is greater than equals to, so positive region, so I'm going to take this region. And when I take this region, not only that, I include these terminal points as well, because there is an equals to sign. So what I'll do, okay, this is -5 to 7, and then x is greater than equals to 9. So my answer is going to be this. Okay, now let me move to the fifth scenario. Okay, so in the fifth scenario, yeah, I can see few options. I don't know whether you answered it before or later. Maybe the chat box were not working or something like that, but I can see some of you answered 1 and 3. That's correct. Let me move to the fifth question now. Okay. So what happens in this kind of question is that I have something in the denominator. So what should I do in this kind of question? Okay. So in this scenario, I need to do 2 steps. Okay, and this is very critical. These are the 2 steps what you need to do. First, you need to take it to the top side. How do I do it? So for that, I need to multiply this by a number such that I do not interfere with the positive sign. I do not interfere with this particular sign. Okay, and sorry, not positive, I'm talking about this sign. Okay, less than equals to sign. And also I get this one to the top. So generally it's very common. What you do, whatever there is the denominator, you take square of it and multiply. So simply you do this. Okay, now y square, one may ask why I'm multiplying it by square. The reason is that square number is never going to be negative. Okay, now you may say that it can be zero as well. Okay, yes, it can be zero. However, in an expression, when I'm giving an expression where denominator is given, okay, denominator can never be zero. If the expression denominator is zero, then my answer, the value of the expression is going to be undefined. So here x cannot be 7. This is something pretty crystal clear. I cannot have this, because if it is x is 7, this is an undefined term. I cannot say it is less than 0. It is undefined. Okay. So what you can do, you can directly multiply it by square, and when you multiply it by square, your sign doesn't change because this is going to be a positive number. You can simply just take it. So actually I can just simply take it to this side. That's all I do. Okay. However, while doing so, you need to remember whether I can take this particular point in my calculation or not. So just take it separately. Just think about, okay, I need to worry about the 7th part. Okay. So other than that particular part, you just take whatever there is in the denominator to the numerator, directly take it to the numerator, and keep it in mind that I need to verify this point. Okay. So now I have -9, 5 and -7. So what I do, I put all the points 9, 7, -5. Okay. Again, same thing, plus, minus, plus, minus. Which region I should take? Minus region. So I should take these points and I should take these points, right? Okay. Now they said if x is a positive integer, it means this region is already out. It is not negative. It is not positive. So I'm talking about this range. So 7 to 9, are they inclusive? Should I include them? Yes, because equals to. So I should have 7, 8, 9. Ideal scenario. But can I have 7? No, I cannot have 7, because if I put x equals to 7, it will become undefined. So this number I cannot take. So you see, I solved it exactly the way we did it for this particular question. Only thing is that I am considering 7 separately. So that's all you need to do in this kind of question. You consider 7 separately. That's all. I mean, whatever there in the denominator, you follow exactly same process what you do for the other question, but take that part separately. Okay. Let's quickly move to some of the question here. Okay, so before that, so these all the things that I have discussed now, I have given you a lot details idea about it. You can go through much this and even in further details and all the questions and everything in our course, which is we term it as intermediate, because this is definitely an important topic and a little bit tough as well compared to the basic understanding of linear equations and all. Okay. And right now we are going, that is the course and everything. Idea is given that how AI powered adaptive is there. So when I say adaptive, it basically what it does, that suppose you are poor in one particular area, so it focuses on that particular area. It shows you, okay, this is the area, you need to go through the concept again to make sure that your conceptual clarity is there. So suppose there are areas where your conceptual clarity are there, but you cannot really get the higher level question correct. Okay, so high level question, high difficulty level question correct. In that particular thing, this AI will kind of understand that particular thing. Okay, for this particular set of topics, you are good with the easy or medium level question, but not so good with the higher level questions. So they will select those topics and give you certain quizzes so that you now work on those particular topics and make sure you get higher level questions correct as well. Okay. And currently this is the offer going on. If you, there is one thing you can definitely do is that you can go for the free trial, and after that, if you like it, you can definitely take any of this option as per whatever is your comfort level. Okay, so it's like 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month program. Okay, so you get full access to all the videos and everything. Okay. So yeah, that's it from my side related to the course. Let us now get into the questions. Can you please solve this question? I'll give you 1.5 minutes, and then I'll move to the solution. Whatever understanding you have till now, answer this question and let me know what is your choice. Answer choice here. By the way, this question will have, you need to mark all the possible answers. So what you do, you use the chat box and answer it private. You can see there is something termed as to everybody or to admin only. So you select to admin only and uh, give me the answer in the chat box, because there are multiple answer you will get, right? So it could be B, C, D, it could be A, B and B, A and D, all those stuffs are there. So you can use the chat box to give me the answer. All right, I have started to get some answers. Any more answers, guys? 30 more seconds. Use the chat box to write to admin only, select to admin only, and you can tell me your answers. 15 more seconds. All right, guys, I'm ending the poll. I mean, sorry, there is no poll. I'm going to start explanation here. All right. If there is anyone who is still solving, you can still post your answer in that way. Okay. So I'm going into the solution here. So the question says, if x is a non-negative number. Okay. So what is the meaning of non-negative number? I need to be very clear about this particular term, non-negative number. So what do I mean by non-negative numbers? So you cannot take negative numbers. Now, what are the negative numbers? All the numbers towards the left-hand side of 0 are negative numbers. So it means non-negative numbers are all the numbers which are not negative. So it starts with 0. This is important understanding and goes towards the right hand side. So does non-negative number include 0? Yes, it does. It does not include the negative numbers, but it includes 0 because 0 is neutral. It is neither negative nor positive. It is neither negative or nor positive. Nothing of it. Okay. No. So with that understanding, I know I'm going to go for 0 or all the positive answers. Okay. So I have this quadratic inequality here. 2x square plus x minus 3 less than equals to 0. So obviously you remember I told you that my agenda here is to write the equation in the form x minus something, y minus something, plus minus something, basically in that way. Okay. Now, so if I do it, I definitely need to factorize it. So I'll do it 2 and 3. Product is 6. I need to get plus 1. So I'll get plus 3x minus 2x. Okay. This is a part of quadratic equation, so I'm not going to go deep into it. You take x common, 2x plus 3 minus 1 common, 2x plus 3 less than equals to 0. So you get x minus 1 and 2x plus 3 less than equals to 0. You can keep it in this way, that also fine. Or if you want to divide this particular part by 2, that is also you can do. So what you can do here from this one, just to get the 0 point easily, you can divide this one by 2. and you divide this one by 2, doesn't matter because I'm dividing it by positive integer. So it is going to be x plus 1.5, okay, and less than equals to 0. Okay, so I'm going to get something like this. Now, so now what I do, I put it on the number line, as simple as that. Where are the number line point? 0 point. If this is 0, x is 1. If this is 0, x is minus 1.5, right? So I have minus 1.5 and 1. So all the values, now I need to understand which range I should take. The range must be less than equals to. So I know it is going to be plus minus plus. If it is less than equals to, definitely I'm looking for the negative part. And also I'm putting these points. So generally we denote it by a solid pointer, and we say like this. And generally if it is not included, we put a hollow pointer and say these are not included, those points are not included. But that is the representation purpose, that's it. Okay, conceptually I understand how it is going to be. I'm going to consider minus 1.5 as well as 1 and all the points in between. So is 0 between these two? Yes. Is 0.5 is in between these two? Yes. Is 1 in between these two? Yes. Is 1.5 here? No. 1.5 is here. 2 is here. So definitely these 2 points are not going to be the part of the answer. My answer is going to be A, B, C. Okay. Let me check those who have answered. There are multiple answers, but some of you have got it wrong as well. Some of you got correct as well. Okay. So, but this is how we go about this kind of question. Tell me if you have understood, and can I move ahead? Can you please use the, I have added the poll. That's not the correct way, Mukul. You said that you are doing it in terms of brute force into the answer. You will put it and finding out. No, that is not the correct way to do, because um, a lot of problem with those things are there. If all the 5 options are correct, how will you know? Okay, and you will have to check with all the 5 options. It's not like, since you mark all the possible answers, it's not like I'll get one lucky and my first answer will be correct, so I'll mark that. No, you will have to put all the 5. Okay, so that is not the ideal way. All right, so yes, let me move to quickly to the next question. Okay, so try it. Let me know what is your answer, and then we'll move to the solution. Again, 1.5 minutes. Let me put the poll up. So the poll is up now. So I haven't got in any answers yet. 30 more seconds. Ten more seconds. All right, I'm ending the poll now. All right. So how should I go about this particular question? So x is a positive integer, and I know it is given in terms of an equation where I have the term like this. As of now, it's not quadratic because just a second. Right. So what I have here, 11 square plus 18x cube less than equals to 0. All right. So just a second. What is the question? Yeah. So how much I have? 17x square minus 11, right? 19x square minus 11. I think there is little mistake in the question. Can you just retry it again? I'll tell you what is the mistake, that particular part. Just a second. Please, there is a mistake in the question. So you just try it for a minute. Let me correct it first. Give me a second. Give me a second. Yeah, guys, can you just now try it again for a minute or so, because that has a excess cube in it which shouldn't be there. So there was some error in that. So can you just quickly try this now? Take a minute or so and just try it now, and then we'll go ahead with it. Uh, Again, my bad. It should be x. It should not be x cube. Okay, it should not be anything. It should be an x. Let me correct it. Let me correct it for you. Yes, this is what it is. Okay, so now can you try it? The previous question had a little mistake over there, so can you try it now? I think there is some copy pasting error there in that question. So let me just quickly see it. Or what we can do is that, let me move to the next question. We'll come back to this question, because let me first verify this question and then I'll come back to this question. Okay, so let's do that first. Okay, so so that you do not waste time, so let us go to this question, solve it, Okay, and then I'll come back to that question when I find out the correct version of it. Okay. Okay, yeah. So that is also, I'll discuss that question in detail. Yeah, there is a mistake in that one. So I'll discuss all the version as well. So answer may not match. Yes, you are correct that if I have a question differently, answer may not match. Okay, so I will give that idea as well. So don't worry about that particular part. Let's solve this question. Okay, so that I figure out what exactly is the actual question, and then I'll talk about that. So have you guys tried this one? Okay. All right. So I see some answers. So I'm ending the poll. I'm going into the solution of it. Okay. So I know what will happen is that since you guys have gone through both the question, you have given some amount of time to both the questions, so I'm quickly going to go through the entire part of it. Okay, so what is the actual question supposedly, what is that change version, how I module the change version. Okay, I mean the process wise there will not be anything different. Answer, rightly you said that answer will may not be there in the option. Okay, it may be if you're lucky, but then it may not be there as well. Okay, so let us move to that particular question. So I remember all of you have answered for B for this particular one. Okay, so let me quickly come to this part which supposedly is the correct one. Okay, now so if I have it, what I need to do, I need to take x common, so that I'll have x square minus 11x plus 18 divided by x minus 7 less than equals to 0. This is something I'm going to have. That is the supposedly the question should be. Okay. Now, what is the problem in this particular one is that it is not in the form, just a second, x minus a, x minus b, this particular form. It's not in that particular form, right? So what I need to do, I need to factorize this one. And if I factorize it, I'm not going to do that factorization. I'm just telling you it's going to be x minus 9, x minus 2. So you can see it is going to be that. Then I divide it by x minus 7 less than equals to 0. Now you know what I need to do. I need to multiply it by x minus 7 square. And they already said x is not 7, so I need not to worry about whether it's 0 or not. Okay, so I'll multiply it by x minus 7 square. So I'm going to get something like x minus 9, x minus 2, x minus 7. 7 square was there, and then there is a x minus 7, so that gets cancelled out. Okay, that's how I'm going to get this less than equals to 0. That is what I have. Now, so I put the number line, I put it x equals to 0, I put x equals to 2, I put x equals to 7, I put x equals to 9. How many values are possible? So I'm talking about the values which less than, right? So I'm talking about the values, how many values are possible for x which are less than 0, so negative. So positive region I cannot take, negative region I need to take, this region I cannot take because it is positive, this region I need to take, and equals to sign is there, so I need to include them as well, right? So if I include them, what will happen? I will include this 0, I will include 1, I'll include 2. I cannot include 7 because they told me it's not 7. Okay, so the other points I'm going to go with is 8 and 9. So this is the version it should have been there, but I'm sorry for all this chaos in that sense. Okay, but I hope you have understood. Actually, we are going to solve a couple of more questions with this one. Okay, so this is how it is going to be if I have it like this. So what is my answer is going to be? My answer is going to be 5. Okay, now let's see what happens if this was the question, right? That's what you said. What happens if I have that same question? Okay, the one I gave you. Is it something solvable? Yes, it is definitely solvable. Okay, there is nothing new I need to do. All I need to do in this particular question is that I will take these numbers and I'll simplify it. 19x cube minus 11x square divided by x minus 7 less than equals to 0. Okay, so what I'll have, x square common, 19x minus 11 by 11 minus 11, that's it, minus 11 less than equals to 0, and I have x minus 7 in my denominator. I'll multiply it by x minus 7 square. This is square here, x minus 7 and then 19x minus 11. Okay, so I'll have something like this. Now what happens in this kind of scenario? I have a quadratic equation involved here. Okay, like, and I have one of the inequalities which is x square. Okay. If there is a scenario where you get even power like this, you ignore that particular term for the time being. Okay, so what you do, since it is even power, okay, you just ignore that. Since it is even power, this is one special case here. If it is even power, just ignore it for the time being and keep it aside that I have ignored x square. Okay, now if this is the scenario, then what will happen? I'm going to write the number line like 7 here. Then I'm going to write the number line as 7 here, and then x, this is 0, is x is 19 by if 19x minus 11 is 0, it is 11 by 19. So where is 11 by 19? On this side, 11 by 19. So what is my answer is going to be, you understand this is 0 point something, right? 0.xx. Okay. Now think about it. Think about it carefully. If it is 0.xx, it means I'm taking the value from 1. Okay. So it is, I consider this point to this point 7. All the points are inclusive. So this is 0 point something. It means that my first inclusive point is 1 and my last inclusive point is 7. So 1 to 7, I have 7 points. And take the 0 separately. So when I say, if I remove something in terms of square, that x, okay, take it separately and see whether my inequation satisfies or not if I put x equals to 0. Okay, so if I put x equals to 0 here, this term is going to become 0, because you see, when I put x equals to 0 here, the entire term will become 0. Can I take it equals to sign? Yes, I can take it. So I will have another point and my answer is going to be 8 here. Okay, so actually we had the answer, which is 8 here. So have any of you marked 8, by the way? I don't remember that poll that point of time, but have any of you marked 8 by any chance? Because if I get a question like this, the answer will be 8. Which are those 8 points? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have solved quite a couple of questions extra in that way, but let me know if you have understood. It happens whenever I have a square term. Okay, this is part of the course as well, so you can go through that particular part. You can try out the free trial version and then go through that particular part so that you have absolute clarity on that. Can you just confirm if I can move ahead with that to the next question? So we have solved both the question. Can you just confirm if I can go ahead with the next question, the other version? Hello. I have put up a poll. All right. Thank you. Okay. So this was the next question. So you tried it. Mostly you answered B. Okay. Let me quickly go through this particular question. Now, you remember I told about the 0 point particular part. Okay. So here is a catch. They say do not satisfy. Okay. So what is the meaning of that? It do not satisfy. Okay. So it means I'm looking for an equation. Here the expression is given as greater than 0, right? But I'm looking for an expression where it is not greater than 0, because I'm looking for do not satisfy. So how should I change it if it do not satisfy this particular thing, or what are the values? So I change it. Okay, since it cannot be greater than 0, so it has to be this. If it is cannot be greater than 0, it has to be less than equals to 0, right? So now what I do, I find out for how many of these questions is satisfied. So I'm not going to answer the question in terms of do not satisfy. I'm going to answer the question in terms of satisfy. Okay. However, I need to consider a few things as well. Once I go through it, I'll tell you about different approaches to solve this kind of question. Okay. So let us go with that. So I'm going to go with this particular equation, less than equals to, same thing. I'll take square. So I'm going to have something like this, less than equals to 0. I'll put the 0 point. One was x minus 5, another one is x minus 9. X minus 5, x minus 9, x plus 2, x minus 6, less than equals to 0. So my points are 5, 9, minus 2, and 6. Minus 2, 5, 6, and 9. Plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. Okay. Now, which are the region I'm taking? I'm taking the region that are negative, right? Less than 0. So those are the regions are this. Okay. Now think. this equation. Does 6 satisfy this equation? Understand that point. Okay, 6 to 9, 6 cannot satisfy here. Okay, the simple reason here is that if I put it like this way, understand this question, understand this particular part very clearly. Okay, if I put 6, this will become undefined, right? So 6 does not really satisfy. Okay, okay, but then just a second, did I make a mistake? Yes, a small mistake here. It was plus 6. Yeah, any of you pointed out that 6 should be negative. Thanks. Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. So you saw it. Okay, so plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, 6 should be negative. Minus 2 minus 6 5 9. Perfect. Okay, so now when I have it, can 9 satisfy here? Yes, and 9 is my numerator. Well and good, I'll take it. All the points 8 7 6, I'll take it. I'll see about 5. Okay, now think about it. I will see about the terminal points. Those terminal points are critical. So if it is 5, okay, does it satisfy here this particular 5? Yes, and you can see here 5 does not satisfy this one because I do not need 0. So obviously I'll include 5 as well. So I have all these 5 points. Okay, no issues with that. Now think about the minus 6. Okay, does minus 6 satisfy here? No, it does not satisfy because minus 6, it makes it undefined. This is important. Okay, minus 6 makes it undefined. So what you do, whenever you see something like undefined, you come to your original equation. Does minus 6 satisfy this? No, minus 6 does not satisfy because minus 6 make it undefined. So it means I need to consider this minus 6 and minus 2 in my answer, right? Because they do not satisfy. So minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2. Same thing happens with minus 2 as well. So those points, terminal point, I need to be bit cautious. Okay, here you saw that both the points are perfectly all right, but depending on whether I get greater than equals to or less than equals to sign, I may need to worry about those terminal points. Okay, so you can just solve it in this way. Can I take minus 6? Yes. But still, since the terms are in the denominator, just verify once here. Does minus 6 satisfy? No. Minus 2 satisfy? No. 5 satisfy? No. 9 satisfy? No. I'll take all the 4 points, all the 4 terminal points. And definitely I'm going to take all the middle points as well. Okay. So I'm going to take these points. I'm going to take middle points. So how many answers? You can also use the formula you have done. Minus 6, minus 2, that particular formula I said. Again, another mistake here. It has to be like this. Okay, but it doesn't change my answer. Minus 6 to minus 2, minus 6 to minus 2, minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2. 5 and 5, 10. All right. So quickly move to the next part. Let us quickly move to the next part. Now we are going into the absolute value. So I'll be a bit faster because we have lost a lot of time. So if it is absolute value inequality or equality, whatever be the case, I need to go for this particular scenarios. One is x is greater than equals to 0. Another one is x is less than equals to 0. Okay. If x is greater than equals to 0, this is something I have. If x is less than 0, this is something I have. Okay. So what I do, if x is greater than equals to 0, I put mod x as x. If x is less than equals to 0, I put mod x as minus x. Okay, now these are the common thing we do. When I say mod x is in between, mod x is less than 4, what does that mean? It means mod x is less than 4 means mod x, the value of x can be minus for more than minus 4 and less than 4. Think about it in this way. Mod x basically tells you that the absolute value of x is less than 4. So it means absolute value of x must be in between these two regions, right? And I cannot include this point. So I'll say this point and this point because it has to be less than. Okay. But if in case it is greater than, I'll exactly take the other part. So what I'll do, minus 4. If it is greater than, I'll not include this point and I'll go towards the right, greater than 4, or I'll move towards the left of minus 4. Okay, this is another thing. How do I change? If I get it like this, I directly get into this particular part. The same thing here as well, but I just have a minus 3. So what I do, I write x minus 3 in between minus 4 and 4, and then we add plus 3 to both. So if I add plus 3 to both, I get this. Okay. There are a couple of standard identities. You can remember these couple of things, but it's not something absolutely must, but it is good to remember these couple of identities. That p plus q, so that if it is mod of p plus q, it has to be less than mod p plus mod q. And if it is mod p minus q, it has to be less than, more than. The first one has to be less than, second one has to be more than mod p minus mod q. Okay. Let's quickly solve this particular question with this idea. Okay. So if I have this is less than 12, what should I do? So I write it like this, x. Can you see this question? Yes, I think you should. So it has x minus 8. So what I should do? Can you try this question? Can you tell me the answer for this question quickly in 1 minute? You just try it. Let me know your answer, and then I'll explain this one. You can use the chat box to tell me the answer. So you know what you need to do. You have different scenarios. You go through the different scenarios and you tell me what is your answer. Just to give you an hint, a particular hint here, just a second. Yeah. So we have one of the equation. It's very much similar to one of the equation we have here, absolute inequalities. Okay, so you can try that particular inequality, that particular understanding, and solve this question very quickly. I do not see any answers. Anyone? You can use the chat box. Yeah. Okay, I see some of the answer. One answer. Okay. How many integral values are possible? So let me quickly go through this. Okay. So I know that if I have something like x, some x, or mod of x is less than equals to 12, I can change the sign in a way that x minus 8 must be less than equals to minus 12. Sorry, more than minus 12 and less than 12. Okay. So if I have it, now what I'll do, I'll add 8 to both of it. So if I add 8 to this, I'll get minus 4 on this side. I'll get x minus 8 plus 8 here, and I'll get 12 plus 8. So I have minus 4 less than x less than equals to x less than equals to 20. So all the values I'm talking about from minus 4 to 20, are they inclusive? Yes, they are inclusive. Since they are inclusive, what are the values I'm talking about here? I'm talking about how many values? 20 minus of 4 plus 1, which is going to be 25. Now what are those 25 values? Minus 4 to plus 20. Okay. So I got couple of answers. Couple of answers. One is correct, one not correct. So all right. So this is how we can go. I mean, whatever formula we have gone from that one, we can directly get to the solution. Okay. Can you try this one and tell me the answer? We have couple of more questions. So yeah, you tell me your answer for those couple of more questions. Then we'll move to, we'll kind of end the session. Can you try this? How many values? So it's no options are there. You can use the chat box and tell me how many values of x how many value of A does the absolute equation this satisfy? There is no poll for this one. You can use the chat box and tell me. Answers? Have started to get some answers. All right. 10 more seconds. All right. I'm ending the poll. Sorry, again, no poll is there. Yeah. All right. I'm starting the explanation quickly. Let me. Yeah, see this. Okay. So what happens in this scenario, like we told you, if the equation is given in this way, that this is less than 5 or something like that, I know what to do. We do something like this. Okay. But here I have an absolute value equation. So what I should do, that's the first part of it. Let me quickly go back to that. Okay. So I have something like this. Okay. This is something I'm talking about in this particular scenario. Okay. So you can say plus x equals to this, and then if x is less than 0, you can take this particular thing. Okay. Quickly move to, let's move to this one. So what we have here is that mod of x, mod of a equals to 3a plus 60. So first scenario condition I take, a is greater than equals to 0. So is it equals to, you need to take equals to, you can take to any part, no issues conceptually, but general as a convention we take it with the plus part. Okay, so greater than equals to 0 we put it, and the second part we do is a less than 0. So what happens, I write it like a equals to 3a plus 16, right? And then I'll take a to the other side, so I will have a minus 3a equals to 16, or minus 2a equals to 16, or a equals to minus a. Now, you may think this is a valid value. However, my condition was a was greater than equals to 0. Is a greater than equals to 0 in my answer? No. So one thing you need to do is that validation is important. After getting the answer in this step, 1 and 2 step, you shouldn't stop there. You should validate. And once you validate, you can see a equals to minus 8 will not work. So how do I understand the validation? My assumption was a greater than equals to 0, but I'm getting a value less than 0, so it is not validated. Okay, next thing, I move to a less than 0. If a less than 0, this particular term becomes minus a, so I have 3a, I have plus 16, I take a to the other side, minus a minus 3a equals to 16, or 4a equals to minus 16, a equals to minus 4. Is it less than 0? Validation is happening. Yes. So going by my validation, this is a valid scenario, this is not a valid scenario. So I have only one as the answer, and that answer is minus 4. All right, cool. So let me move to the last question for this session. Yeah, can you try this? Actually, we have another question. We have a couple of more questions. Okay, so this is this. I thought it's the sixth question because we saw one question extra, but that's fine. We'll do these couple of questions and then we'll wrap up the session. Let me put the poll up. Can I get the answers? 30 more seconds. All right. Thanks for the answer. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let us see what exactly is the answer. I mean, what are the all answers it can satisfy. Okay. So you know what I need to do. Very similar to previous one of the, I mean, few of the previous question. So first we write it p plus p by 3 plus 2 less than, I have 7 here. So can I divide it by 7? Yes, because it's a positive number, less than 3. Once I have this inequality like this, I know what I can do. I can write it by p by 3 plus 2, which will be less than, I mean, which will be greater than minus 3 and less than 3, right? Since I have a minus 2 here, I need to remove this minus 2. So what I can do, I can minus 2, take 2 out from both of it, both part here and then last part as well. Okay, so what I end up getting, minus 5 p by 3 less than 1. What is the next step? I multiplied everything by 3. So minus 15 p 3. Okay, so what are the different values I have in this range? Is A in this range? No. Is B is in this range? Yes. C, yes. D, yes. E, no. So my answer is B, C, D. I think one of you have answered B, C, D, E. One answer I can see as B, C, D correct. Okay. So E is not correct. I believe you have understood now that E is not correct here because 4 does not satisfy this one. Even if you see, try to do it. 4 by 3 is 1 point something, so you have this one as 3 point something. So if you multiply 7 into 3 point something, it is more than 21. Does not work. So 4 doesn't work. Remaining BCD work for this. Okay. All right, let me move to the last question here. Can you try this one? And that will be it. Let me just put the poll. Should I have a poll for this one? Yes, I should have a poll for this one. Okay, so the poll is up. Try it and let me know what is your answer. Can I get some answers? Uh, Guys, 30 more seconds. Uh, are you facing any difficulty? Because I do not see any answers here as of now. You can just use the chat box if you are trying, so that I'll wait for a minute or so. I don't see any answers yet, so I'll end the poll. Okay, and I'll discuss the solution. I don't see anything on the chat box either. Whether you are trying, can you just confirm if you are trying? I'll give 30 more seconds, perhaps. I'll wait if someone is trying. You can use the chat box to tell me you are trying, so then I'll just wait for it some time. Okay, I don't see any response. All right, I'll just I'll end the poll and I'll start the answer and give you what exactly we need to do in this kind of question. Okay, so they said x is a negative real number, so I understand x is negative. So if x is negative, I know this expression 2x minus 7, okay, and this expression 2x, this, how should I go about this negative thing? Okay, so if I have it like this, understand, here I need to be bit cautious. I need to understand whether this term is negative or positive. That is very important. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So in such a scenario, when we have a question like this, okay, so what I need to understand here is that if this is 0, okay, if 2x minus 7 is equal to 0 or x equals to 3.5, this is the point when it will be 0. Okay, correct. Now if I tell you x is negative, you already know, if this term x is negative, this is a negative term, this is also negative term, so together the entire term is definitely going to be negative only, right? Okay, tell me if this particular part is clear or not. You haven't answered this one, so that's why, if you can confirm if this part is clear, then I'll move to the solution part. Any response? Yes, I'm not getting any responses. Am I connected? Hello. Can you please confirm using the chat box if I'm connected or not? All right, I can see some option. Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, but I don't know. I didn't get any response from you guys for quite long, so I thought maybe there is a problem. Okay, I'll just quickly go through wrap this one. So I understand this is a negative term. Okay, because if x is negative, if this is a negative term, how should I write it? If term is negative, I should reverse it. You remember that thing? Mod of that thing is negative means I need to write it negative. If you remember, this is to minus x when this term is negative. So definitely I'll go with that idea and I'll say since it is negative, I'll write it 7 minus 2x. Okay. Now, next thing, obviously x is negative, so 2x is again negative. If 2x is negative, I'm definitely going to write it as minus 2x. Okay, and then I'm going to have plus 7. So what happens, essentially I'm going to have the first term as 7 minus 2x plus 2x plus 7. So it will cancel each other, and for a negative value of x, I'm always going to get this value as 14. Okay, since this value is 14 and my quantity b is 15, I definitely know my answer is this. Okay, so you understand what we are doing. We are not deviating from the understanding. Is that we kept it very simple. If x is negative, my term is negative. If my this term is negative, how should I write it? I should write it as minus 7 minus 2x. I have 7 minus 2x, minus of minus 2x, I get plus 2x, it gets cancelled out, and I am getting a value 14. Okay, so most of you, I mean, those who could not answer, possibly you were, I believe you were thinking about D or something because of this particular reason that possibly x will remain in the equation and I will not get an answer. But that is not the case. X will not remain in the equation and I'll get an answer for this one, and that is going to be B. Okay. So I know this session actually, because of these questions and maybe this connectivity issue was also there in between. Okay. Uh, just let me know if you have understood this thing. Is there any concern related to that? I'm just quickly go through the entire part to give you a recap what you need to know when I'm talking about it. This question. So if it is linear equation, okay, coming to this question one perhaps, if it is linear equation, I definitely need to understand how these particular things work. Okay, this is the basic part of linear equation. If it is quadratic equation, then I need to write them in this form, plus minus x plus minus b and that. And then depending on the sign, I need to do the operation. Okay. Now what are the operation? I put them on the number line. Okay. And I need to be bit cautious about this 0 point. Like I told you many times, I need to be bit cautious about this 0 point. So when we have this 0 point, just to be on the safe side, you can just put those 0 point and see whether it is satisfying or not satisfying and how the question is asked. Okay, other part there is no issue, absolutely no issue. Only thing happens with 0 point. Okay, so if I have plus minus plus minus plus minus like this, okay, I should not worry about the middle part. Only this terminal part I need to worry in certain cases, because it gets included here, it doesn't get included here. If the question become do not satisfy, then also some complexity happens. So try those 0 points separately. Okay, then I told you, if there is something x square is given, for that matter not x square, if you even have something like x minus c whole square, say something like this. So what you need to do, you can ignore the even power. That is part of the course as well, you can go through it, even power, and take only the odd powers. Okay, you do your number line thing, and then this x minus c greater than 0, that 0 point where x is c, take it to the original equation, put it in the original equation and see whether it satisfies or not. Should I count it or not? Okay, so that is one important part about the 0 point. That's why be very sure about the 0 point. And for the absolute equality, absolute value equation, obviously we have done it just a few minutes back. It could be plus x or minus x if it is greater than equals to 0, less than equals to 0. And a couple of more important thing is that if I have mod x less than say some k, then I can say minus, it has to be in between minus k and plus k. Okay, and most of the question deal with this thing. Okay, all right, so this is the recapitulation I wanted to give. Let me know if you have any doubt, or you can use the chat box, or otherwise I will end the session. So just let me know if you have any doubt using the chat box. Let me put a poll as well. So if you have any doubt, please select yes. If you have any doubts, then select yes, or else select no. And then can we have negative numbers in A? No. Okay, so you want to put some numbers and check. Can you just confirm it? If I understand the calculation, I want to confirm it by putting a number. Yes, you can do that. I mean, that should not be a problem. You can just put x equals to say any number, say -1. You will get -9. Then you will get +2. -9 will become +9. Then you will get that -2, and then you will get 7. Let me just show you that one. Okay, so you want to do it and check whether it satisfies or not. Understood now. Quickly, let me come to this question. Yeah, so you want to put something like -1, perhaps say -1. You said okay, you can do that. It will be -2, -7, which is 9. This will become minus of -2, right? Which is again -2 plus 7. So yeah, you will get 14. You can do that. You can do that as well. Okay, not a big deal. You can do that. Okay. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah, sure. Okay, but some question, if they don't give you negative number, then you need to find out scenarios, right? You should do it for negative number, you should do it for the positive part, and then you come up with the scenario. That's why I give you the scenario. But yeah, you can put a number, negative number, and see as well. But I should understand this conceptually as well, so that I am not making any mistake in terms of solution. Okay, and so most of the question we have solved one extra question. So any and every question can be solved. You just need to get it into the proper form, and then whatever rules are there, follow those rules, get it into the proper form, draw the number line and solve it. Okay, all right, anything else? Any more doubts? Any more doubts, guys? Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, so yeah, again apologies for this that question that was wrong over there. Okay, but then in that hindsight, we have solved one extra question. We got to know some concept, but yeah, there is a typographical error in that particular question. Okay, so see you maybe in some other sessions. What you can do meanwhile, okay, you can definitely go through the course, that is the free trial. You can register and go through the free trial part. Okay, if any doubt, you can reach out to these numbers, or you can reach out to the support ID as well. Phone number or support ID, anything is fine. Any kind of doubt, you can reach out to these couple of IDs, and you can register and go uh, through our trial. Okay, so that is depending on the time. I think possibly that will be somewhere around 1 week trial you have. You can go through the trial, and if you feel okay, this makes sense, this will be helpful, you can definitely go ahead and purchase. That is totally up to you, but I will strongly recommend that you go through the trial part. All right, guys, thanks for coming to this session. Okay, see you in some other session perhaps. Okay, have a nice day. Bye, take care.